Can anyone else in the service industry please tell me what the fuck is going on this summer? Like, are people out of their COVID money? What is the deal? Because this is the least amount of money I have made in a very long time. And I don't understand. Like, are people less giving? Like, my customer service personality has not changed. I'm just a little jokester. And you're so nice to these people, and the tips come back, and it's like 10%, 9%. It's like, what's going on? What's going on? Yesterday, I was working with, like, our best-looking server, cute little college boy. So funny. He got a $2 tip on 30. And I'm like, I know he did not fucking do anything to those people, and they were so nice. What's going on? I made 10 grand in 2 months last summer, and I haven't even made 6 in 3.5 this year. What? Is this like normal or what?
I'm probably going to receive some pushback from this, but I'm the queen of getting pushback on this app, so fuck it. Like you said, y'all got comfortable with people with COVID money. Because a lot of the people that I've seen doing the most complaining are the people who started waiting tables within just the past couple of years. It's not the people who have been waiting tables the past 10 years, 20 years, because they understand the industry. They understand there's highs. They understand there's lows. They understand sometimes you'll get tipped. They understand sometimes you won't. Some people are great. Some people are awful. Okay. It just is what it is. It's the belly of the beast. And it's what you sign up for when you choose to do that job. It's a lot of the newbies that I see getting on this app saying, just like a couple years ago, I was making $10,000. I was making this much. I was making thousands and thousands and thousands. And now I don't know what's going on anymore. Like you said, you got comfortable with people with COVID money. Money that they felt more comfortable to spend frivolously because they didn't actually have to work hard to earn it. You know, and I'm not shaming COVID money. I feel like the least our government could do is give us money to sustain ourselves during a fucking global pandemic. I mean, what the fuck else are you here for than to take care of the people when shit's hitting the fan? You know what I mean? I'm not shaming COVID money, but I'm just saying people are more willing to spend their money frivolously when they're not having to work super hard and long hours in order to obtain said money. Okay, so people were going to the restaurants and buying all the expensive drinks they usually couldn't afford to buy, and they were leaving the big tips they usually couldn't afford to leave, and y'all got comfortable with that. And y'all got comfortable enough to get on this app and start telling the people who didn't get any COVID money, who are still just trying to work with the few hours they were getting at their jobs, if they were getting any hours at their jobs, whether their job was even considered essential or not. Y'all got up here and told those people who would leave you a $5 or a $10, you know, because that's all they can afford to spare, and they really can't even afford to spare that, but they're not going to leave you with nothing. You got up here and told those people, if you can't afford to tip me 20, 25, 30% every time, stay your broke ass at home. And so that's what they did. Fast forward a few years later, and now that people are back to working their regular jobs and they're busting their ass for their money, and they no longer want to go out and just spend $400 on a dinner just for the fuck of it anymore. You're sitting in empty ass restaurants left behind with nobody besides Karen and Bobby, who's going to come in and is going to order $200 worth of food and is going to remember something different from the kitchen. They need you to get them every 5 minutes, and they're not going to tip you shit. Because people who have been in the industry know that little $5 this table leaves and the $10 this table leaves, combined with the tables that actually tip very, very well, that shit adds up. See, you never experienced having to depend on the little bits adding up. You never had to depend on that. A lot of you jumped into the industry right at the peak of COVID money, where everybody was going out with their friends trying to impress everybody by dropping $200 tips here and $300 tips there and $1,000 tips here. Now that you're back in reality, where people aren't as frivolous with their money because they're back to their regular jobs actually earning it, you're actually having to depend on the genuine generosity of others. Not that fake show-off shit that people were doing during COVID. You're actually having to depend on the genuine generosity of strangers, and you're realizing that it's few and far between. So all the people who are actually genuinely generous, they got shamed back into their houses because y'all got bold on this internet, spit in their face and told them that the little crumbs they leave you weren't fucking good enough, even if those few crumbs were actually their breakfast money for the next day and they were willing to miss breakfast just to leave you a tip. And the part y'all weren't paying attention to while y'all were so busy feeling high and mighty, rolling in y'all's wads of cash from these people you convinced yourself were generous just because they were throwing money around like they had an endless supply of it, is that those people are the people who before COVID were still living that way. They just weren't tipping because they didn't have the money to do so. And so the second they had the money to do so, they did it not because they genuinely gave a fuck about you, but because it impressed their friends, and leaving a big tip on a check was something that they never got to experience before. It's something they've never been able to brag about before. So they weren't doing it for you. They were doing it for themselves. And once the money ran out, they went back to their regular scheduled programming, which is going to the restaurants, eating you out of house and home, and then turning their fucking nose up at you as they walk out the door. So aside from this being like one of the most out of touch arguments I've heard in a long time, what happened? 1, we're in a recession. You should keep up. And 2, you're getting what you wish for. Enjoy.